So I welcome to all the participants of this our Archaeology and Museums Heritage of India, and I also welcome to Dr. Pratik Ghosh sir. Most welcome sir here in our this second session of this course. आज का हमारा ये दूसरा सत्र है। कल हमने डॉक्टर बी आर मणि साहब के द्वारा पूरे भारत में जो भी एक्सकैवेशन हुए उसका सफर कैसा रहा उसके बारे में हमने सुना। आज हमारे साथ उपस्थित है अपने कोलकाता से हमारे जैसे मैंने भी अपना जीवन जो है मैक्सिमम टाइम गांधी म्यूजियम में बिताया है। तो उसी तरह से गांधी मेमोरियल म्यूजियम बराकपुर कोलकाता से डॉक्टर प्रतीक घोष साहब हमारे साथ उपस्थित है। पहले मैं उनका परिचय यहाँ पर देना चाहूंगा। सर अभी यहाँ पर ये जो गांधी मेमोरियल म्यूजियम है यहाँ पर वो डायरेक्टर पद पर काम कर रहे हैं, डायरेक्टर सेक्रेटरी पोस्ट पर वो कार्य कर रहे हैं। उन्होंने अपनी शिक्षा जो है एमएससी म्यूजियोलॉजी में पूरी की, जो कोलकाता यूनिवर्सिटी से उन्होंने पूरा किया। मुझे बड़े खुशी की बात लगी क्योंकि एमएससी म्यूजियोलॉजी आपने किया। हमारे यहाँ आज भी एमएससी इन म्यूजियोलॉजी अवेलेबल नहीं है, तो ये बड़ी खुशी की बात है कि आपने इस तरह अपने शिक्षा को पूरा किया। और 2004 में उन्होंने इसे कंप्लीट किया। उसके बाद 2014 में उन्होंने अपना पीएचडी म्यूजियोलॉजी में ही कंप्लीट किया। उसके बाद उन्होंने बिरला इंडस्ट्रियल एंड टेक्नोलॉजिकल म्यूजियम कोलकाता में 2003 में अपने कार्य की शुरुआत की। उसके बाद सुंदरबन बायोस्फीयर इंफॉर्मेशन सेंटर कोलकाता का जो है वहां पर एज अ प्रोजेक्ट फेलो उन्होंने वर्क किया 2004 से 2006 तक। और 2007 से ही उन्होंने इस संग्रहालय कार्य करने की शुरुआत की। गांधी मेमोरियल म्यूजियम जो है बराकपुर कोलकाता का 2007 से उन्होंने यहाँ पर अपना कार्य शुरू किया। अभी तक उन्होंने कई सारे रिसर्च रेफरेंस बुक्स लिखे हैं तथा कई सारे रिसर्च पेपर्स लिखे हैं। उनके कई सारे रिसर्च पेपर पब्लिश हुए हैं। कई सारी किताबों में उन्होंने चैप्टर्स भी लिखे हुए हैं। अपनी एक अलग दृष्टि को रखते हुए, यानी जैसे हम गांधी संग्रहालय में कार्य कर रहे हैं, बट रिसर्च नॉट ओनली रिलेटेड विद गांधी बट रिलेटेड विद द मॉडर्न टेक्निक्स इन द म्यूजियम्स। तो इस विषय में उन्होंने अपनी महारत हासिल की है। काफी बड़ा उनका बायोडाटा है, मगर उसको मैंने शॉर्ट में यहाँ पर बताया। आज का उनका जो टॉपिक उन्होंने चुना है, रिवॉल्यूशन इन डिस्प्ले ऑफ आर्कियोलॉजी इन मॉडर्न वे। तो मैं सर का फिर से एक बार यहाँ पर स्वागत करता हूँ और सर से कृपया आज के अपने सेशन की हम शुरुआत करें।
Thank you, Mr. Gobade ji. Good afternoon, everyone. So today, before starting my lecture, I would like to thanks to the authorities of the Deccan Archaeological and Cultural Research Institute and also the PANAS organization Delhi for organizing this online national short-term course on archaeology and museums heritage of India through this digital platform jointly. I think this would be a great opportunity for the scholars to study and their future research regarding the multi-diversified cultural and natural heritage of our country. So today it is a great pleasure and a great honor for me to deliver a lecture for today in this virtual platform. So welcome to all of you. And today I am delivering my lecture on the topic entitled Revolution in Display of Archaeology in Modern Way. So I am requesting to Mr. Bobade ji that could you please share my presentation in the screen?
Just a minute.
Sure. Yes. So this is my topic, which I am delivering today, entitled Revolution in Display of Archaeology in Modern Way. Can you share this present? Yeah, sure. So next slide, please. archaeological museums give the public a chance to relive what once was standing, giving them an insight of the culture and also the lifestyle of the civilizations while sharing their past knowledge. Archaeological museums offer the chance to restore the life and accomplishment of our predecessors in an individual and energizing path, reacting to the present developing open mindfulness and enthusiasm for this field. So what are the general function of the archaeological museum? The general function of such type of museum is to uncover archaeology of this overlooked world, connecting our legacy with the present and giving a point of view toward the future, where past meets the future. Is along these lines are the managing standard of all arranging and presentation. Next one, please. Basically, archaeological museums, we can divide it into two main groups in an architectural point of view. So archaeological museum originally designed as a museum, and as for example, we can find archaeological museum from our state of West Bengal, that is Acharya Jogesh Chandra Purakirti Bhavan, which is located in Bankura district of West Bengal. And another type, according to their architectural point of view, the archaeological museum, which is adapted from a historical building. And another example from West Bengal is Hajarduari Palace Museum in another district of West Bengal, which is Murshidabad. And it is, this building had been set up during the period of Nawab Sirajuddaulah in Murshidabad. So such type of archaeological museum, which has been adapted from a historical building like this Hajarduari Palace Museum in Murshidabad in West Bengal. Next one. Another thing is that archaeological museums can be divided into three according to their locations also. The first one is archaeological museums on historical site. I mean to say that archaeological museum has been established in their original historical place. And these museums are built on the archaeological site, and later on it serves as a museum at the meantime. I have mentioned here two examples. Two examples would be the New Acropolis Museum, which is now located in Athens of Greece, and another one is the Davidson Museum, which is located in Jerusalem in Israel. Secondly, the archaeological museums which are situated next to the archaeological site. And these museums are based near to the site, housing the museum separate from this place. For example, we can say the Getty Villa. And this Getty Villa is located now in California, US. And the third one is the archaeological museums which are located away from the actual sites and holds a distance from the museum and the archaeological site. In these museums, the excavated artifacts need to be transported from the excavation site to the museum and be reassembled. For example, in that case, for example, we can say about the Zeguma Mosaic Museum, which I have I have also seen on my slide. Next one. Now, I am discussing about some important key issues in archaeological museum design or spaces. So, it has to be kept in our mind to begin with archaeological museums, their architecture and interior design, including the display of the artifact which are preserved on site, will be taken into acknowledgement first. In new museums, the goal is to make a clear, compact, and brief outline arrangement and have efficient and sustainable utilization for a long term. And the third one is, one of its most important objectives is to provide a concise, clear, and brief design of the museum and its exhibition halls that serving a long-term purpose in efficiency related to the space design. Now, in case of the exhibits, the surroundings, the colors, and the lighting should be coordinated in such a way that the visitors, irrespective of their educational background, can easily understand them. Next one, please. So now I'm discussing about the space organization when we are trying to set up an archaeological museum. A historical center as a memory of the human society was started from exhibition spaces, and it is differentiated in the capacity and the part. An exhibition inside of a show space is a basic thing. However, its actual worth is the data and its importance suggested in the matters. And at the end of the day, the essentials of presence of an exhibition is a correspondence with show and an observer. Effective display, if you think about the effective display space, it is a surrounding that gets an observer to start the multi-dimensional correspondence and the learning. So when we have developed the space organization, first we have to look in the planning of space. It includes the careful planning of efficiency and productivity to use the space accordingly, and the term is often referred to large-scale planning and planning according to specific tasks. Area requirements for the space we can measure by number of people served, 1, and 2 is required furnishing and equipments, and the third one is nature of the activity. The interior spaces can be adjusted in arrangement by the utilization of parcels and by embedding false roof to change the extent of display spaces to suit the work on perspective. This adaptability is progressively valuable as the scope of work displayed develops and changes. Next one. An important part of experiencing a museum is the circulation and how the flow of the museum circulates the visitors. In such case, there is some general value principles. And what are these valuable principles? These are visitors approach objects that are perceived as attractive or interesting. Only we can consider a few objects which are perceived as attractive enough to merit physical approach. Many objects may be viewed because they are in the visitor circulation pathway and thus require little effort. But not only must the object of attention be perceived as low enough to warrant focus attention. Thus, the value of the exhibit experience changes with variations in both benefits and cost. So after that, once the visitors start arriving at the museum, they are expected to have made a decision on whether or not entering the museum, thinking if it's worth paying the fee to get in or not. So therefore, the lobby plays an important role in attracting the visitors. Having played importance to the lobby, that's not the only case in a successful museum circulation. Coming to the decision that the visitors choose to enter, they should feel the flow of the museum. Exhibits and artifacts should be planned in order to guide the visitors from the entrance to the exit, passing through a correct course, allowing them to experience the galleries and find their ways through. Next one. Now, I'm discussing about space character. In such case, firstly, we have to focus on space height. By considering the factor of the object size in construction of the adaptation to the museums, exhibitions can easily be displayed. Height of the building might not be seen as a factor to be considered, or it maybe is the last aspect that is thought of. However, it is fact that should not be overseen. Then come color or texture or material. In archaeological museum, the material used plays high importance. The material used keeps the viewer's attention based on the archaeological sites. In such projects, materials containing natural colors is mainly chosen. When materials containing such colors is used, the attention is taken from the extension and focused more on the actual artifacts. As the texture of the archaeological site usually consists and generates softness, it should not be hard on the viewer's eye and create a softer view, not having such distinguish from the historical site from the added extension. Next one. Now the point is display or exhibit design. In the last few decades, museums have become more and more conscious of the importance of displaying their collection. It is also well recognized that standard of display and presentation also plays a fundamental part in determining the ability museum to utilize their collection under its care. Newer development in display furniture and fixtures, lighting appliances, labeling and graphics, use of high technological gadgets, etc., changed the display techniques of the archaeological collections. Visual elements used in archaeological display have undergone tremendous changes in recent times. Emphasis on central display instead of linear ones, animated walkthrough diorama, haptic technology added panels, and communication kiosk, augmented reality, all have revolutionized archaeological display throughout the world, including also our country. So next, please. For implementation of effective display, museum personnel depend on the different types of primary and secondary factors. The utility of an exhibit, the period when it belongs to, the provinces of the objects, objects' importance in human culture, such types of factors are the basic factors. Types of exhibits, texture, material composition of objects, necessary furniture are treated as the secondary factors, which are also unignorable. Next. So, exhibitions are propagated by the museums in the inside of museum as well as outside for the need of effective education among the people. Usual types of exhibitions are permanent exhibition, temporary exhibition, and traveling or mobile exhibition. So the display of object in permanent nature frequently subsists for more than 3 years. Generally, a gallery object display is an important part of a permanent exhibition. Now the temporary exhibition. Temporary exhibition is organized for short-term period. The maximum time limit of temporary exhibitions is 2 months. Exhibitions, next, exhibitions which travel from place to place by van, bus, train, or ships are treated as mobile exhibition. But besides these 3 main types of exhibitions, there are some modern types of display which doubtlessly useful for the mass education. Among these, contemplative, didactic, group display, and visible storage are notable. So what is this contemplative exhibition? Contemplative exhibition make the unique objects meaningful to the museum onlookers. And the didactic exhibition, it tries its best to narrate a theme and facilitates museum users. When group of objects shown with concise interpretation, it is considered as group display. And another thing is visual storage. If the museum opens its storage to the interested person, it is known as visual storage. So visual storage takes a significant role to enhance the thoughtfulness of the museum users. Next one, please. Attractive presentation needs the display units like showcases, diorama, pedestals, charts, visual aids, etc. Among the different types of display gadgets, showcases are the most important. Wall showcase, tabletop showcase, almirah showcase, room divider showcases, and pillar showcases are worthwhile for representation of objects exhibition. Wall showcase, which is the most important for archaeological display in museum galleries. Wall showcase made by the combination of steel, wood, and glass are attached with the wall of the museum gallery. And next is flat desk-like showcase, are also called table showcases. Small images are conveniently placed in tabletop showcases. Another showcases is pillar showcases. pillar showcases are almost cylindrical in shape. In case of corner display, pillar showcases are important equipages. Another important display furniture is room divider showcase. Room divider showcase is generally kept at the middle of the exhibition gallery. Both sides of these showcases are divided by a partition, and the almirah showcases contain multiple shelves to protect different types of sculptures. And it is also useful for the display of iconites or various fragmentary parts of images. Next one, please. Another important furniture is pedestal. Pedestal is largely used for display of sculptures. Pedestals are box-like wooden stand where images are placed for exhibition. Photographs play an important role for presentation of effective exhibition in museums gallery. Enlarged photographs with lamination are conducive to examine the iconic speciality of any type of sculptures, models and replicas, which are also able to give idea about the related objects to the interested viewers. Models of various images are used in case of temporary and traveling exhibition. Replicas of the sculpture collections are frequently shown in different exhibitions organized by the museum. Small museums, those who have not remarkable collection, they can purchase the replicas for keeping those in their collection. Next one. Now, another important thing is lighting. Lighting system is a most essential installation for display of museum collection. At present, museologists alike a combined use of natural and artificial light. Natural light can be used profitably by the installation of different types of windows in the museum building. Side lighting, clear story lighting, corner lighting, ribbon lighting, high level side lighting, and also the skylight are the different types of such type of natural lighting. Next. Light produced by the fluorescent tubes and incandescent tungsten filamentary bulbs, filamentary lamps, are known as artificial light. Artificial lighting is focused on two ways, namely direct lighting and indirect lighting. For image exhibition, direct lighting is more preferred than the indirect room lighting. Spotlight, false skylight, louvered light, trough light, truffer light, cove light, polarized light, such type of lights are the notable as the sources of artificial lighting. You have also seen a table on this slide, through which I have tried to explain a simple classification of the objects on the basis of limiting illuminances and annual exposure of light for their material sensitivity. So if we divide the material, first we can divide it intensive. So which are the intensive materials? These includes metal, stone, glass, ceramic. When we display such type of objects in the museum's gallery, there is no limit for lighting, illumination, or exposure because they are intensive. Next one is low sensitivity. The materials which include under this category, these are canvases, frescoes, wood, leather, etc. And there is a limitation. There is also a limitation. Sorry. Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes,
okay.
yes, yes.
Thank you, thank you. There is also a limitation for light illumination, that is to 200 lux maximum. And next category is medium sensitivity, and the material includes under this category watercolor, pastel, various papers materials, and such type of materials need maximum 50 lux of maximum limit of illumination is 50 lux. And last one is high sensitivity, includes silk, newspaper, sensitive pigments. There is also some light limitation, some exposure limitations also, and this is maximum 50 lux. So we can keep in our mind such types of lighting illumination when we will try to display some archaeological materials in the archaeological museum. So next one, please. Museum authority prefers artificial lighting, mainly prefers the artificial lighting for the display of sculptures. Louvered ceiling and trough lights are used for illumination purpose. Louvered ceiling are utilized as the room lights, which obviously by the source of indirect lighting. In case of wall showcase display, spotlights or fluorescent tubes are considered as the suitable source of illumination. Next one, please. For specialized applications such as reflector lamps, non-glaring frosted lamps are also available in the market. And these are also available with UV spot filter and special dichroic reflector, which reduce the beam temperature up to 60% and UV radiations also up to 80%. Low pressure mercury vapor lamps. Such type of lamps have a high luminous efficiency, low power consumption, and long life, and it also gives a diffused uniform light. CFL, that means compact fluorescent lamps. These are smaller in size, and these are highly energy efficient and are most useful for museum purposes. Such type of lights are now available in various colors. You have known about these various colors, temperatures, and wattage. LED, that means light emitting diodes, which are slowly replacing all traditional lighting, though these involve high initial cost but very cost effective in recurring use. Another important lighting fixtures is optical fibers, and these optical fibers are extensively used abroad, but yet to make its foray into the Indian museum perceptibly. Next one, please. This is another important equipments for archaeological objects display in the museum gallery, and this is audio visual equipments. Among the visual aids, photographs are adequately shown in the galleries of sculpture. It is praiseworthy that assessing the modern need of the museum visitors, the touchscreen computer sets are set up in the galleries of sculpture. Though the digital medium is helpful, yet it is also the fact that a large number of mass population is not frequently habituated with this type of media. If the authorities of museums can use the digital media with the utilization of TV sets, smart devices, and slide projectors, it will be, I think, more fruitful to the different types of museum onlookers. Next one. Video corner. If we can set up a video corner in an archaeological museum, no doubt treated as it would be treated as an essential source of audiovisual aid for the people. Film shows related with archaeological remains and of art objects are organized by the authority in this corner. Next one. Multimedia. Multimedia is one of the fastest growing areas of museums today. It is a multimodal experience providing a mixture of real images, models, sounds, and tactile sensations. User can view the videos of the original excavation of any archaeological sites through this such type of multimedia. Here, I have mentioned two things which we can use. We can set up in our archaeological museums gallery by using the multimedia. One is digital flipbook. It is a sensor composed device through which a series of pictures animated gradually from one page to the next by simulating motion or some other changes. Another thing is poster panel with LED TV. In case of panel exhibition, multimedia presentation can be presented through LED TV fixed in the panel board, like you have seen on this slide. Next one. Another important digital technology which we can use for displaying the archaeological objects in the museum gallery, that is animatronics. Animatronics is the use of mechatronics to create machines which scene animate. These figures are mostly powered by pneumatics or sometimes by hydraulics or by electrical means. In archaeological model making, animatronics is used to create realistic motion in the models. I have suggested here an animatronic devices which we may use in future archaeological museums in our country also. This proposed device contains a large disc of 4 inches diameter with projection facility. The image of every part of a sculpture or other exhibit can be placed along the periphery of this circular disc. Visitors can touch each image of the exhibit to get the necessary information in the form of video and text, which will be projected on the screen of the monitor and which are attached on the screen of the monitor, and such type of monitor would be attached with such type of devices. Next one. Now, I'm discussing about some conditions of good display in archaeological museums. For organizing the good display of exhibits in archaeological museums, these points are also important. First one is display only the selected objects of a group. Next one is taking every care of objects so that the precautionary measures adopted against the natural enemies of the exhibit. Third one is, if possible, provide seats for the museum visitors to relax and observe the objects joyfully. Next one, it should have a section of small room painted with pleasing scenery so that the fatigue is removed and visitors could feel the exhibition as an enjoyable event. Next is, put up comprehensive labels at a convenient spot against each exhibit. And display must be relevant to mission and community obligation of the museum. Appraisal of sociological and ethical implications of objects exhibited. And the next one is, it is determining the general value of exhibition or program of the museum. Next one, please. If we see in our country, we can find some notable archaeological museums here. Being the first museum in India as well as in the Asia Pacific region, the Indian Museum of Kolkata has got some immense importance. The archaeological section of this museum includes pre and proto history, Maurya, Shunga, Satvahana, Kushana, Gupta, Pala, Sen collection, along with the minor antiquities. But the major attraction is the railing of Bharat Stupa. The collection of the Egyptian gallery, including a mummy, attracts most of the visitors. The original mummy has been displayed in a center showcase, and on the other hand, a mummy in a pyramid has been showing through a diorama. And there is also a touchscreen kiosk which has been installed in this gallery. Rare and irreplaceable collections of coins is a vital item of its collection. Objects are mainly displayed on pedestals, stands, showcases, panels, screens, and almost every type of showcases is found in this museum. And touch screens are provided in most of the galleries in archaeological section. In the large corridor of the building, large archaeological objects are displayed in different types of showcases or on pedestal. Here the natural lights are used extensively and the indirect light has been used in the Egyptian gallery. Next one. Touchscreen kiosks are already used in the Hajarduari Palace Museum in West Bengal, which I had mentioned in my earlier slide about this Hajarduari Palace Museum. Nalanda Museum in Bihar, and so on, which give the visitors, an opportunity to interactive access to information in a heritage site. Next one. Many archaeological collections in India are housed in the royal palaces like the City Palace, Jaipur's City Palace in Jaipur, Swai Mansingh Palace Museum at Gwalior, Scindia Palace at Indore, Dogra Ruler Palace in Jammu, the Palace of the King of Mandu, Nizam's Palace at Hyderabad. So some archaeological site museums are housed inside the remains of the excavated sites. These are such type of archaeological museums. Next one. This is in Meherangarh Fort Museum in Rajasthan. Audio guide provides the visitors recorded spoken commentary of the objects through a handheld device, which you have seen also in my present slide. Next one. In the National Museum, New Delhi, generally showcases are used for archaeological objects in display. The museum provides a concise account of an exhibit through labels. And in this museum, the most famous Harappan gallery houses artifacts on showcases, stands, etc. And lighting is fully artificial. Labels are bilingual. Mobile audio guides are also available at a premium. Next one. This is the Government Museum in Chennai. Audio guide service is very effective for sharing the knowledge about the exhibit. This is Government Museum in Chennai. In the holographic gallery of the Government Museum Chennai, coins, jewelries, bronzes, and other rare collections are kept on display with modern dichroic halogen lighting. In the Bronze Gallery, LCD liquid crystal display, multimedia projector show videos on the lost wax process of traditional bronze makings, etc. And in this museum, bigger size replicas of rare coins are also in display. An acrylic board with built-in lighting has been used to display obverse and reverse sides of the coins. Large size models of coins on fiber board attractively highlight the minute details of the coins. Modular storage is also used for Amaravati sculpture in this museum. Next one. So now I have come to my concluding point. Though new and innovative display techniques are widely available in the market with not so expensive varieties for use of almost all the subjects, unfortunately, the archaeological displays in the museums of our country are yet to utilize creatively in their dispensations. Irrationals rigidly in a mindset, in our mindset in complementing collection with technology to enrich visual experience perhaps has been hindering the Indian Archaeological Museum from becoming more didactic to the general masses. Archaeology museums must catch up soon. Else, interest of the technological savvy young Indian generation seldom would show interest in the dry heritage display. So that's all of my presentation for today. And before ending my lecture, I would like to thanks to all the participants again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir. It's a wonderful journey of revolutionary technology in this museum's display. Now the session is open for the question answer. If anyone have questions, then please ask.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, the role of the techniques, modern techniques, which you have mentioned, that animatronics and multimedia,
Yes.
currently in which museums of the India they are equipped with such modern technologies, animatronics and multimedia? Currently,
Actually, some new museums, some new projects would be set up throughout our country. Rather than I have a knowledge, recently in Kolkata, in National Library, they are trying to develop a museum of word. So I think this museum would be
Museum of which?
word languages.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So in archaeological, if we think about the archaeological museum, I have mentioned in my last slide that this technology we can use in archaeological museum in a very user friendly way, so that we can understand all the objects, all the story behind the objects which has been displayed in archaeological museums so easily. But unfortunately, I have to say that till now we are not use much not use such animatronics and multimedia in archaeological museum, but they are trying to develop such type of ideas in their display.
And so second question is basically what is the role of state in preserving, in sustaining these archaeological museums?
What is the role of, pardon?
State, sir.
Sketch.
State, STATE, state.
Oh, what is the role of
For
state?
example, West Bengal or something other, Madhya Pradesh or Rajasthan, in their own preserving museums.
No. Actually, by following the modern technology, all the states of our country has been trying to develop the modern museum, but not in a particular subject, but not in a history or archaeology. They are trying to preserve the intangible heritage of our country. So, like that, I had mentioned the Museum of World, which are trying to set up in National Library in future. So, in case of the intangible heritage, when we are trying to develop such type of display, the objects we cannot touch, we just feel. So in that case, it is well for all type of visitors if we use such type of technology. So all the states are trying to develop in their local region, so that computer savvy or smartphone savvy young generations come to them, and they can easily understand all the things which they are thinking to highlight for the society.
Hello, sir. One more question.
Yes. Yes.
One by one, please.
Shall I ask, sir?
Yes.
Sir, basically you have explained that recently the Lothal, which is a Harappan archaeological site situated in basically the coastal region of Gujarat. So they have kind of they are planning to build up the archaeological museum. So why I am the citizen. I'm from the Maharashtra. So we have like numerous archaeological, the historical forts of medieval period. So why don't the Maharashtra state government does not take initiative of constructing the archaeological museums in each of the forts of which are belonging to the Maratha period and the early medieval period?
Dear sir, this is not the question regarding to Pratik sir. It's regarding to the Maharashtra government. Why not interested? You asked in our last session, because our Maharashtra's director, Dr. Tejas Garge sir, will be there, and he is now present at here. He can answer it. So this is not related to this session. Please try to understand.
But all the archaeological sites is under control of Archaeological Survey of India. So if they have taken any initiative, and they are also trying to discover more and more hidden places of our country, which has a very significant role in previous history. So I think the Archaeological Survey of India is thinking about that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Shall I ask?
Yes, sure.
Sir, you told about the lux levels and illumination in our museums. So I just wanted to ask that where preferably we can have a natural light source, like in the sculptural areas, or most of the time.
Natural light source is very effective for museum objects if there is some protective measures, if we taken any protective measures to protect the UV ultraviolet rays generated from the natural source, because ultraviolet rays is very harmful to each type of museum subject like sculptures, paper objects. So
Right.
now now in market there is a UV protector. So if we use in the museum ceiling the skylight option, so we have to careful when we use the skylight in our museum gallery for the gallery lighting. Then there is an option to keep a UV protector on them. Then we can use this light.
Okay. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
I have a question. First of all, I would like to thank you for a wonderful presentation. In real sense,
Thank you.
Wonderful in each and every respect. I have a question that in your lecture you told that how we are going to protect all those particular things which can be faded due to ultraviolet light. I want to know how rare and antiques books are preserved and at the same time how they are displayed. Because when we talk about a book, further we can display either the front page of the book or the last page of the book or the center of a book. But that is a question which is coming in my mind. For example, we have several miniature painting books further in each and every museum. Displaying them is a quite tedious task. Please, can you share something on that?
Actually, for that, I have already mentioned a new device which we are using now for developing a new museum. That is digital flip. If you use the smartphone, then when we find any PDF file, then we can just touch the screen and swipe our hand from one side to another. So if we placed a digital flipbook device which composed of a sensor, and this sensor takes the sense from your hand movement, and all the rare and all the rare books, now we can converted in digitalized form. That means to ebook. So you have to need to touch the rare books in the galleries, but you can find all the things, all the contents, all the pages of this book through this digital flipbook device. So
Thank you, sir.
there is a digital preservation.
Okay, thanks.
Books is also preserved for the future. So such type of modern technology should be used for archaeological or any tangible or intangible heritage.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
A request to all the participants that please ask the questions which are related to the session, because here is in our chat box there is a question by Paragji: how to protect the items in museums from fungus, especially in humid climates.
This is a
In
conservation
display
aspect.
perspective, can you please say about that?
Hello, sir.
So it's regarding conservation and preservation, not regarding this display techniques.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can you explain little bit about didactic exhibition? As we know that didactic, like in inscription also, it related to the religion. Then what you explain about the didactic exhibition?
Okay.
In modern type.
Okay. I just mentioned here. Didactic exhibition tries its best to narrate a theme. When we develop a gallery, we can consider a particular theme, like a walkthrough diorama, which denotes a theme behind the story of this exhibit. Maybe these exhibits have been recovered from an excavation site, but there always a narration behind this exhibit, which we can get from the previous history. So if we consider this object for display, then we may choose a particular theme behind this object. So when we develop a display like a theme base, this is called didactic exhibition.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So firstly, I want to
Shiva
thank
Challaji,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
With a
Okay.
great information. So my
Yes.
question is, as you said, that museum put the replica of the structure or the
Yes.
sculpture. So any museum can have any type of sculpture, or there are some rules for it.
Actually, for developing a replica, we should follow some rules and regulation, because we cannot produce a replica by not mentioning the originality. We have to first thinking about its originality. Then the original object is very rare and valuable, so we can decide that it should not be displayed for the general visitors. It may be taken in our storage. When we are thinking to visual when we are thinking about the visual storage with proper precaution, then we can show it for the general public. So we have to think about the replicas of the valuable and rare objects. And I have also mentioned that in Chennai government state museum in Chennai, government museum in Chennai, there are some valuable coins. And when they display the coins, you just go to show the coins, and you just have seen the upper side of that coin. But coins have both sides, so they make the replica of the coin, both its upper side and its reverse side, so you can feel about the whole details of the coins. And replica has been also made by using the augmented reality, by using this digital technology. Augmented reality means that you can use every part of this particular sculptures or whatever it may be, but it can describe all details of the particular object when we use the augmented reality.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
शिवा चल्ला जी, शिवा चल्ला, इज देयर एनी क्वेश्चन? आप कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं? ओके, इज देयर एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? किसी का और कुछ सवाल है? If there is
Hello.
no any question, yes, please.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Sir, thank you for the nice lecture. I mean, during the display, what precautions are taken to protect the items from fungus? Because are they airtight or airy, or do you have this ACs and dehumidifiers somewhere kept besides the display? What precautions? Because we find, I am a philatelist basically. I collect
Okay.
stamps.
Okay.
A lot of fungus is a problem for me, especially in rainy seasons. The stamps get stuck to each other, and especially the paper material gets stuck to each other. So how do you display these things at the same time? Take care they are not spoiled.
In microclimate, although it is a questions of conservation basis, but this is not my topic. But I think because I have some experience in several museums in our West Bengal, so in microclimate, I mean to say that in showcases you can use just silica gel on a petri dish, because silica gels absorb the moisture. But your question is on fungal deterioration, no? Not moisture.
Yes, both
Okay.
moisture and fungus are related. So
Okay. So inside the showcase, you can just put the some silica gels. Its measurement is 100 gram in 1 cubic meter area. You can put that materials. Basically, it is blue in color, but when it absorbs the total moisture inside the showcase, it converted into pink color. Then you can replace the silica gel again. And for fungus deterioration, you can just simply use the methanol solution. First, you just clean the dust and dirt from the object, and in a dry cloth, by using a dry cloth or cotton, just drop in an methanol solution. Then you just wash the on the object to remove the fungus initially. But this is a preventive measures. When you want to apply any chemical materials, you have to consult always with the conservator. As the museum personnel, we just take care for the object as preventive measures, but not any curative measures. Curative measures should be taken by the presence of the conservator. And for some paper materials, you can just use the acid-free boxes. Acid-free boxes, presently proper acid-free boxes are not available in our country. It has to be buy from another foreign countries, but we can purchase for that for photographs or any manuscripts or any. We can keep these objects inside these acid-free boxes. So there, and some you can also use some naphthalene. जैसे जो insecticide for insect removal के लिए just take some naphthalene balls inside the museum showcase. But I think proper conservator will explain you about these questions in a true sense.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Thanks a lot. अभी एक्चुअली वैसे हमारा समय खत्म हो चुका है। जिन्हें कुछ सवाल है, अगर ऐसा लगता है कि इससे रिलेटेड यानी डिस्प्ले टेक्निक से रिलेटेड अगर कुछ सवाल है तो कृपया आप व्हाट्सएप पर भेज सकते हैं, हम सर को वो भेजेंगे ताकि फिर इंटरेक्शन भी जो है वो चलता रहेगा। मैं डॉक्टर प्रतीक घोष सर का शुक्रिया अदा करता हूं कि उन्होंने इतना वंडरफुल लेक्चर हमारे लिए दिया, बहुत ही अच्छा रहा। क्योंकि आर्कियोलॉजी फील्ड में जो रिवॉल्यूशन आज आवश्यक है उसके बारे में भी उन्होंने यहाँ पर बताया। कई सारे म्यूजियम्स नाउअडेज महाराष्ट्र में जो हो रहा है हम तो यहाँ देखते हैं, बट इन बंगाल पर्टिकुलरली क्या हो रहा है उसके बारे में हमें से ये प्रेजेंटेशन में बहुत अच्छी जानकारी प्राप्त हुई। और अगर एक एग्जांपल के तौर पर देखा जाए तो हमारे यहाँ अभी मैं प्रेजेंटली जहाँ पर हूँ महाराष्ट्र Jalgaon district, which is very near to Ajanta and Ellora, Gandhi Research Foundation Museum, which is in 81,000 square feet, and it's a multi-technology used museum. तो इसमें टचलेस गेस्टर्स भी है, कियोस्क टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज किया है, एनिमेशन टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज किया है, और आर्गुमेंटेड रियलिटी का भी जो है नया प्रयोग उसमें किया जा रहा है। ऑलरेडी विजयवाड़ा आंध्र प्रदेश में बापू म्यूजियम में ये टेक्नोलॉजी उन्होंने वहां पर यूज की हुई है। सो ये रिवॉल्यूशन जो आवश्यक है उसके बारे में आपने बहुत अच्छी तरह से बताया, और किस तरह से हमें उसका ध्यान रखना चाहिए उसके बारे में भी आपने बहुत अच्छा गाइडेंस किया। मैं आपका बहुत बहुत आभारी हूँ, और यहाँ पर जितने भी सारे हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट रहे उनका भी मैं शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ, और आज का हमारा ये सेशन हम यहाँ पर रोकते हैं। थैंक यू, थैंक्स अ लॉट सर। यस सर, यस, थैंक यू।